Good morning. This is Uche Joku's Lincoln Principal, and I just left the gym, and I'm sitting in the parking lot at CVS, and I need to buy something, and I forgot to write it down. And I'm sitting here. I know this thing I need to purchase is very, very important, but I just can't remember what it is. So I'm giving myself the next 10 minutes to remember. But at the same time, I figured while I'm trying to remember what this thing is, I can make a video. So right now I'm going to make a video, and the video that I'm going to make is how to become a teacher. And what I mean by becoming a teacher, I'm not just talking about, teaching anything generic or teaching somebody how to do something. I'm talking about the profession of teaching education. And the reason I'm answering this question is because we are at the cusp of a new school year for a lot of schools nationwide. I'm here in New York, where we don't start school really till September, but a lot of people right now wrapping up their summer, and literally within the next 2 to 3 weeks, they're starting their school year. I have a sister and a brother who are out in the Midwest, and they start in August. So my sister has already set up her classroom and putting together her to-do lists. And I just said her on her list, she had a footrest on there for under the table, which I'm like, brilliant, because I'm telling you, you spend a lot of time on your feet, and when you're sitting behind that desk, if you're grading papers or it's your prep period, probably a good idea to have something you can put your feet up on and kind of let the hogs breathe, your little piggies. But also, this is a time of the year where the conversation comes up about teacher shortage. Nationwide, there is definitely a teacher shortage. A lot of people are retiring from the profession, and a lot of people are haven't been incentivized or even had the option of education and being a teacher presented to them. All you really hear about teachers and education and schools and classrooms are all usually the negatives. So a lot of people are kind of like, I don't want to do that. It's too stressful. But there's a lot of you out there, I know for a fact, who are thinking and asking themselves, can I do it? Is there a space for me in this profession of being a public school educator, or even if you're doing charter schools or private schools, independent schools, wherever they may be, Christian schools or other religious and faith-based schools. Just the fact of active being a teacher, being in the classroom, teaching subjects like English, science, social studies, foreign languages, technology, all these different things, from pre-K all the way through 12th grade, or even stepping into higher education like college. Question is, how do you become a teacher? So I'm going to just share with you 5 things that I always tell people who ask me about the profession. Before I give you the 5 things, just to give you my background, I'm going to, I have over 2 decades as a public school educator. I've been a special education teacher, science teacher, dean of students, assistant principal of special education. I've supervised math and science, and also been a principal. So now I am a principal. I've been a principal at 3 schools, 2 middle schools, a high school. Currently I'm at a middle school. All my schools have been turnaround schools, so pretty much I have been asked throughout my leadership career to step into schools that are struggling, to assist in turning those schools around, and that's my resume. So off the bat, how to become a teacher. First thing I want to say is this: the first thing you should do if you're considering being a teacher, and this applies across the spectrum of where you may be. You might be still in high school and you're like, I think I want to be a teacher. You might be in college and you're like, I think I want to be a teacher. You might be outside, you might have been done with college and you're asking yourself, I think I want to be a teacher. You might not be even in college and you're an adult and you're saying, I want to be a teacher. The first thing you need to do is get yourself in the school building. Whether you are, if you're in high school or you're still in school, whether you are tutoring or you're helping out in the classroom, or you're doing something in the classroom that allows you to experience what that's like. And that's what I would say for students. When I was in college, when I was in high school, I did tutor, and I did have on my schedule where I was a classroom aide. to one of my teachers. It was a science teacher. So I was in upper grades supporting a teacher with the lower grades. So one of my periods was going to that classroom and just kind of helping out as an upperclassman. When I was in college, I did do a semester internship where I was interning at a local elementary school in the city of Rochester, where I attended the University of Rochester, New York, and it was second and third graders, and I would go in there once a week and kind of help out in the classroom. So which gave me the front row seat of seeing what teachers had to deal with, understanding how interactions with students was like. Then another level is if you are already done with college and you're thinking about education, you can substitute teach. To be a substitute teacher, you have to have a college degree, I believe, in most places. There's some places you just have to have a certain number of credits, but I know for the most part you have to have a college degree. And the thing with substitute teaching, there is no long-term commitment. You are day-to-day, and you can go to a classroom in school and see what that's like. And if you're like, hey, I didn't attend college and I'm thinking about going to college, or I dropped out of school, whatever the case may be, you can also get jobs like a classroom aide. You can get jobs like a what do you call them? A school aide, where you're in the building and supporting, in these spaces. And these are jobs that can give you kind of a perspective on what it's like. And the other thing too is being a paraprofessional. If you are interested in working with students with disabilities, working in classrooms where you could be a one-to-one aide, or you can be a classroom support paraprofessional. These are spaces where at least it gives you opportunity to actually see what is it like to be in this environment. And what it does also, it minimizes you romanticizing what it's like to be a teacher. We often do that. We think about professions and we're like, oh my God, it'd be so cool to have my classroom and do X, Y, Z. But you don't get to see the day-to-day of what that's like. So that's one thing I think is very important. And number two is actually figuring out and this is not in no particular order, figuring out what the licensing process is to become a teacher. It's funny how so many people understand, if I want to become a doctor, I got to go to undergrad, then I go to medical school, then after medical school, I do my residency. Or I want to go become a lawyer, I go to undergrad, then I go to law school, I take the bar. A lot of people don't understand what is required to become a teacher. They don't understand the amount of schooling you have to go through. It might not be 4 years of medical school. It might not be 3 years of graduate school, but in some cases it is 3 years of graduate school. But the thing is, like for me, my master's degree that was required by New York State was 2 years. To get I have a master's degree in urban education from Mercy College, and that was required for me to get licensing. Then after that, I had to take a bunch of exams, to be certified. It's like taking the LSATs or taking the board exams for medical school. Like, you have to be certified. So that's something that that you need to find out what it is the rules are for your state. So number one, get a feel for what the environment is on a low stakes level. So you're not committing time and resources to doing something that you don't want to do, or you find out later that you want to do. The other thing too is finding out what the licensing requirements are, so you understand if I'm going to do this, what are the requirements, the commitments, and also the financial commitments, because going back to school requires money, and you want to know what is the best way for me to do this, what is the cheapest way for me to do this. A lot of states incentivize you becoming a teacher, so in most cases you might be able to go through a training program for free, and a lot of states also have alternative training programs. I didn't go through the traditional applying to grad school for education. I went through New York City's teaching fellows program, where once I got accepted into the program placed me at a university, and at a very, very, very low rate. I went through the graduate program, most of it funded and paid for by the city of New York, and which was at a huge savings. So those are the two things. Number three, it's very, very important that you talk to teachers, and not just the ones who are bitching and moaning about how much they hate their jobs. Because the reality is, the majority of people who are in education love what they do. I love what I do. There are days that are tough, and I'm just like, why am I doing this? Yes, they are. But guess what? I have friends of mine who are doctors or lawyers, who are police officers, who who are in various fields, programmers, and a plethora of fields, who go through the days and weeks and months, and in some cases years, where they're not feeling what they're doing. It's just that with education, the narrative has been built for such a long time. Those badass kids and this and that and administration and all that. Like, yes, those things do happen, but they're happening in every field. I mean, come on now. How many times have you looked at the YouTube video of that person who's quitting their job and walking out and having the whole entire marching band walking through the office talking about, I quit. But the thing is, that's part of the human experience. But the one thing I'll tell you is this. Yes, have I had bad days? I've had many bad days. Have I had days that I wish didn't happen? Yes. But I also have years of amazing experiences, years of students that I've had and see their growth and their successes, and I'm like, wow, I was part of your journey. Those who were doctors now, those who are attorneys, those who are teachers, those who are entrepreneurs, and even those who just are like, Mr. Njoku, you saved my life. And I'm like, what do you mean I saved your life? Because you didn't know what I was going through at that moment, but you had a conversation with me, and it was almost like you knew what I was going through, and you said something to me that shifted my perspective and gave me the strength to move, to push through another day. And I'm like, wow, I did that. There's nothing like being an educator, because it's so linked to the human experience, and that bi-directional space where you're pouring other people. But you wouldn't know that if you just listen to the stereotypes that people put out there about education educators. Yes, there's a lot of bad actors out there on multiple fronts, with all key stakeholders: administrators, teachers, parents, students, and just everybody on the sidelines. But however, every child in society at this point in time goes through a school, at least here in America, and that means, as an educator, you have the opportunity to truly impact society, especially when you're forward-thinking and you're really understanding the responsibility of the profession. So, get yourself into classroom spaces and school spaces so you can see what it's about. Number 2, find out what the licensing process is for your state. Number 3, talk to educators, and not just those who are bitching and moaning, but those also who love what they do. Ask questions, Number 4 and 5. Number 4, I would say, figure out what is your sweet spot as your personality wise. Some people are just built for working with younger children. Like, I'm telling you, like, those are the people that I respect the most. I've been primarily secondary, middle, high school. I did spend 1 year as an assistant principal at an elementary school, and I loved every moment of it. It was tough, but I loved it. Listen, there is no stress than monitoring a cafeteria of first and kindergartners. Woo! I've never opened so many cartons of milk in my life, because guess what? Those little baby fingers cannot open those. So you're walking around opening cartons of milk, and milk is splashing everywhere, and you have milk stains on your suit and stuff like that, and you're like, what the heck is going on here? But it's such a wonderful space to see little children who are, and you get to see the potential of who they are, and the love that they give you, because they're just in that space, So, and then you have the middle schoolers that everybody says, oh my God, the middle schoolers, oh my God, you gotta be careful of the hormones and everything else. You know what? I've loved being a middle school educator and principal and assistant principal more than any other space, only because you get to see the growth so quickly. There's a difference between a 6th grader and an 8th grader. And it's just in 3 years, like the way that they grow and they figure out themselves. And if you position yourself as that I don't know, that directional sign saying, hey guys, this way, not that way. You'd be surprised how often children in that age span of middle school are yearning for someone to just give them direction. So I love middle school. Then high school, that's the, hey, you're almost there. the mentoring, the sharing of wisdoms and all that. That's that high school space. The question is, where do you fall? Some of us are just like we can fit anywhere. Some of us have particular inclinations and personality types that fit into the right spaces. And again, this is something you might be able to figure out by doing number one, which is get yourself to the building and experiencing those spaces. But the one thing I would say is, don't completely lock yourself out and say, I am a middle school person, a high school person, I'm an elementary school person. If you're able to experience those spaces for an extended period of time, you might be surprised but where you find yourself really gravitating towards. And then number 5, how do I become a teacher? Follow your heart. Follow your heart. I'm telling you, too often we're listening to everybody else but our hearts. I tell this to everyone. Being a teacher, being an educator, it's not a job. If you're looking for a job, it's not a job. It is a calling. It is a calling. There are many professions out there that pay better. There are many professions out there that have better incentives and perks and all that other stuff. But there's no profession where the impact is undeniable. It's not built, and not everybody's built for it. When I went into education, I was really thinking about law school, and I thought, hey, I could be a substitute teacher, and it'll give me a chance to really, prep for the LSATs, make some money on the side, and I could take days off if I needed to, because it was per diem. But what ended up happening is I stumbled into the Teaching Fellows program, and it was a 2-year commitment, and they will pay, and for the most part, pay for my graduate studies in education. But I was only thinking about how this would only enhance my application for law school. But as soon as I walked into that building, a day, 2 days, 3 days, a week, 2, a month, 3, 6, 7, I forgot about law school. And I was like, I love this. I love walking to a building and seeing young people say, hey, good morning, Mr. Njoku. I love walking to a building and seeing, and maybe I had a sick day, or I had to go to a meeting, and I walk in and kids are saying, where are you at? You're not allowed to be absent. We were looking for you. And you realize that you have become part of their lives. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, they've become part of yours. And it's something that listen, it's really purpose driven, and so that number 5, you gotta allow yourself to truly discover this space for yourself, and listen to your own heart. So I just wanted to share those 5 things. It's in no particular order, and there's probably 100 other reasons as well, how-tos, but these are the 5 things I'll tell you that you need to do to ensure that, at least from my perspective, that you are moving in the right direction. And any questions, please leave comments you leave a comment, share, push this out there to anyone who might be considering becoming a teacher, and let me know what has your journey been as far as pursuing education, whether you are in the space of considering, or you're already in it. Maybe you're a veteran, or maybe you're like, hey, Uche, you forgot a couple of things. Add it to the comments and let's engage. And that's it. Till next time, be well.